and welcome back to Japan Game Junk. It's the podcast, and this time it's a very, very, very big store. This is one that is very popular with foreigners all throughout the Tokyo area, and I've seen before that there are people on YouTube who will take a train there, so I know you can take a train there, although I go by car. Has a very bad parking structure though, very, very narrow and difficult to park in there. Anyway, it is the hard off like the conglomerate ECOTown in Hachioji city of Tokyo. Western part of Tokyo, not part of the 23 wards, not what was once Tokyo City, but still a very large place, very large city geographically in Tokyo Prefecture, the Tokyo Metropolitan Prefecture. And this ECOTown has house, hard off, hobby off, liquor off, and I don't know if it's a guitar off is separate or if it's part of a hard off, but it's a separate part of the store. But many, many floors with tons and tons and tons of used stuff, and many, many, many foreign people. And of course, I'm one of them, but I'm a regular, as it were, going very often. But if you go there, there are so many people going like, oh, look at this, look at this. There's so many YouTubers going there taking video, which they hate, by the way. Please don't go to a store that doesn't have the sign saying, please, you can take pictures and don't take pictures there without permission. Yeah, but it's so many people there this past time too. Lots of very large women with backpacks and holding hands of loud children. And a lot of tourists there. I guess it's somewhere online how this is a must-visit. And to be fair, it kind of is. It's a very, very big hard-off store, this ECOTown, that has lots of stuff that you can't actually find elsewhere. I found it to be a very great place for things like records, LP records, and a lot of older computers, hobby computers as well. The only better place for hobby computers is probably Beep in Akihabara, and only because they have, even though they have less stock, it's a lot cheaper there. And the staff there, they really know what they're doing with hobby computers. Anyway, so things that were found game-related at the hard-off ECOTown in Hachioji city of Tokyo. This was on April 21st of 2024. So, starting us off in one of these showcases, the Famicom Nekketsu basketball. So this is, what is it? Crash in the Boys Street Challenge basketball. 11,000 yen, which is kind of pricey, but I haven't actually seen that before for sale. I'm sure it is for sale somewhere, but I don't remember it. So only place I found it, and for those who want it, it's there. Also, for the Famicom Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game, just the guidebook that was released when the game was released way back when, 8,000 yen for this little, almost magazine thickness guidebook. Crazy. Also crazy, while used, the complete in-box Game Boy Advance Metroid Zero Mission, 20,000 yen. It's a bit much. I'm sure I paid much, much, much less for it not too long ago. I mentioned the records before. The box set of the record box set for the soundtrack of Square Enix's Nier Replicant game was 8,000 yen for many, many LP records. And I'm a sucker for game music on records, so that would be very nice if I cared enough to have it. I would probably pay that much if it was like my favorite game or whatever, but I don't really like those games. Next up, the Pokemon Game Boy Micro, complete in box. Don't know if it was new. It looked very new. It looked very mint. 250,000 yen. About $2,000. I believe the first car I bought in Japan, I think the first two cars I bought in Japan, actually, each were less than that price. They weren't great cars, by the way, but, still. That was, wow. It's a lot of bread for this special edition Game Boy Micro. Maybe it's the last one box that exists, I don't know, but that's a lot. Also, what I would see is maybe a bit more understanding for between 100,000 and 150,000 yen were 6 different complete Game & Watch systems Boxed, looking very good. Maybe they are even mint or new, I don't know, but they looked fantastic. And those are of quite a bit more vintage and quite a bit harder to come by in such good condition, I believe, for thus that price. But the most expensive, the Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch, unopened, brand new, 500,000 yen. 1/2 of 1 million yen. That's crazy. And usually I would think that, something so rare, something so sought after, maybe it can cost that much, but for only twice that amount, for 1 million yen, you can get an unopened 64DD system and all the games that were ever made for it. Nintendo 64DD, which is much rarer to find unopened, I'm sure. And that one was at a hard-off store I mentioned recently in a previous episode. But still, if you really love Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch and you want to have a new unopened one, maybe the last one, I don't know, 500,000, it's yours. Yen-wise, of course, not dollars. That's this is what, 500,000 yen. That's well, I guess when you put it down to it's $4,000 US. Hey, that's for you. A lot cheaper there, and what would be more my style if I wanted to have something that's a bit rarer is the Game Boy Color system, the Pokemon Center unit. This is only 44,000 yen. And recently, again, in a different episode for a different hard-off, I think a couple weeks ago or last week, I forgot when, I did find it boxed for 100,000 yen, so quite a bit less. If you don't need the box, but you want to have this rare Game Boy Color, well, there you go. It's a lot cheaper here. I haven't seen it cheaper elsewhere, even in Akihabara, but, at least as of right now, if you need it, it's there in Hachioji. Something else I've never seen before, in person, I've seen it just, for sale online, is the PCFX PC card. As in you have your actual PC, and you have an open slot to put in a card, and it turns your PC into a system capable of playing PCFX software, and you can plug in your PCFX controller. Complete in the box, this thing was 50,000 yen, which is more expensive than an actual PCFX unit that you can get, which probably is a lot easier to deal with as well, but there you go. Something else that I thought was very interesting is that the very first console game, to include a dial-up modem. This is Morita Shogi for the Nintendo 64. It's, the Japanese chess, the shogi game. 1,000 yen. And it's not a great game. You don't need to, dial up to play it or anything, but even if you don't want to play shogi just as a collectible, to have the very first game that included a modem inside it. That's in the game itself. Not in, not like some sort of a unit, as in a... You know what? Has there ever been any other cartridge that included a modem in the cartridge where you're only trying to play that one game? Huh. I don't know. But as it is just shogi and you're just playing chess moves, then you just actually dialed in the number of the person who had the other cartridge, and you made sure that you had the games fired up at the same time, and you could play back and forth for the mere cost of your local phone call. Anyway, there was something I'd never seen before I thought was interesting. Complete in box, a rapid-fire dongle to connect between the system and the controller you're using for either the Mark III or the SG-1000. It was compatible with either system for 5,000 yen. And if it were a bit cheaper, I probably would have picked it up, even just to have it, even though I don't particularly need a rapid-fire controller enhancer. Something I really wanted to have, but still a bit too pricey for me, is the Hitachi High Saturn. This is the Sega Saturn system made by Hitachi. I already do have the V Saturn made by JVC, but the Hitachi High Saturn, it does include installed in it the video module to watch video CD, and it is actually a much rarer system than the V Saturn, which I do have. And so 30,000 yen. Honestly, I'd say it's probably worth it if you're really looking for it and you really need to have it, because I haven't really seen it so cheaply elsewhere. I've seen I have seen it elsewhere for, I think, 20,000, maybe around there, but with no controllers, no branded controllers, and looking in pretty bad condition. So there you go. Also, something I've not seen in person before, but I know it's much cheaper online, is the Mark III, Sega Mark III I mentioned before for the rapid fire controller. This time, this system itself, it's very nice condition, very, very white, not yellowed plastic, and it has attached the FM adapter, to make the FM sound, the sound enhancer. And that thing is there attached to the Mark III. But it is 50,000 yen. And as I paid 3,500 yen for my Mark III and got everything else, to hook it all up very cheaply as well. It's kind of pricey there. Just really for the FM unit is basically what you're paying for there. That's the only rare module that you can usually find for maybe 10,000 if you really look for it. Something really weird I saw. For the MSX cartridge, for the MSX, the ROM cartridge, Marufuki Gaisha no Swing-kun. So this is Swing, Mr. Swing, who works for the window cleaning company. And the cover art had... So there are only two things very interesting about this. The cover art had like this claymation guy swooning with this claymation girl at the window while he's at his, scaffolding there. He's supposed to be cleaning the windows, but instead he's like getting a kiss from her. That was kind of funny, that comical cover. The other thing I noticed was that it was a 110,000 yen game. So yeah, that's a pricey cartridge for the MSX. I'd never pay that much unless I knew I could immediately get the riches of Solomon for selling it to someone else. Something else I thought was interesting is the cheapest ever Super Cassette Vision game I've seen, complete in package. It was Elevator Fight. You can guess what game it's, ripping off Elevator Action, for 2,500 yen complete. I was pretty shocked. Usually they're a bit more expensive to have the box, and even then for like the board game stuff, maybe Othello or the previously mentioned shogi, the Japanese chess. I'd expect that to be cheaper, but this is actually a nice little action game for 2,500 yen complete. 2,500 yen complete for the Super Cassette Vision. Come on, that's crazy. Crazier for 300,000 yen. It's a few grand there in the US. It's Bandai, the game maker. It was one of their arcade game cabinets, a cockpit, where you sit down and you play games, and there were 3 HD monitors arranged in the cockpit formation, and the game itself, the seat, of course, it has the, handles with buttons and switches and stuff, but there's no game inside. You have to add your own game somehow. I'm not sure how you would even do that, but if you ever wanted a arcade seat that's attached to 3 HD monitors arranged vertically to make one big monitor experience, well, there you go. 300,000 yen. Hope you got a place to put it in Japan. Now, what might be more interesting for people who are in Japan and not looking to get something heavy to take outside Japan, are in the junk section various CRT TVs, which have become fairly expensive these days, but quite a few of them for only 2,000 to 3,000 yen working. Of course you can't watch TV on them, but you can put in your old classic game systems and play on a CRT. But the best one of the lot, a Sharp TV for 60,000 yen, which includes the built-in Super Famicom. It is the Super Famicom Sharp TV. Sharp Super Famicom TV, 60,000 yen. And I believe, actually, this is the same model I saw for sale in the Kuki Hard-Off for the same price. Then they remodeled that Hard-Off a couple months ago. And they had to close down for a couple months, and much of their stock was taken out. And I think this was actually that store's Super Famicom Sharp TV. That then was being sold in Hachioji. Now on to the various hobby computers I mentioned before. There are many, I don't know what, I don't call them systems, but I guess like computer systems of the NEC PC98 standard, between 50,000 and 100,000 yen. But yeah, way back when, there was the DOS Windows standard. In Japan, there was also the NEC PC standard and other standards, one of which I'll get to in a moment, or two of which I'll get to in a moment, where, you could have just a totally different operating system, totally different architecture. Wasn't just, Apple and IBM compatible in the West, but there were many more in Japan. And the NEC PC98 was probably the most advanced of the more popular than Windows systems that came out. Again, and it stopped in the 90s, but yeah, they're good computers there, and many good games you can find still available cheaply for them. Also, games you cannot find cheaply for this one, the FM Towns computer. In the West, the FM Towns Marty is a bit more well-known perhaps, but the FM Towns computer, of course, the Marty is compatible with all their software, but it's the actual computer version of that game system. It can run games from disk or from CD, and this one that was there was 40,000 yen. I have an FM Towns controller that I use on my MSX, but FM Towns, 40,000. Kind of cheaper than I expect, actually. But more expensive than I expect. For 198,000 yen, basically 200,000 yen, it's a pretty penny. At least you don't have to find a place to put it like the Bandai Game Center 3 HD monitor cockpit. 200,000 yen basically for the Sharp X1 Twin. So Sharp has made some hybrid systems in the past. I have a Sharp combination Famicom and disk system Famicom Twin, And this one was the X1 Twin, combining the X1 computer architecture of Sharp with the PC Engine. And so this computer can play both, or can play software for the X1 computer as well as the PC Engine. So this is actually the even rarer version of the hybrid system. The most famous one is the Pioneer Laseractive, which could play, Mega CD games and Mega Drive games and PC Engine games and PC Engine CD games through the adapters that were available. But here's one more, the X1 computer from Sharp that can also play your PC Engine software. Something I've never seen before, and may never see again except going back to this one store, because I don't know who's going to buy it and take it off their hands for 198,000 yeners, so it's a bit much. Anyway, though, this is a store well worth visiting, as is proven by the mass amounts of foreign people I see there. I've probably been there on certain days, especially on weekdays, when there are more foreign people than Japanese people, actually. But, yeah. Still stop by and I pick up stuff there from time to time. It's simply worth a visit. There you go. Hachioji Hardoff ECOTown. Part of the ECOTown multi-floor center. Go there, enjoy it, and just, again, don't take video and don't take pictures, in the store. They really don't like it, You can go online and find some YouTubers talking about this store and showing it off, and they're not going to show the very upset faces of the Japanese staff who really just can't be bothered to tell people to stop because, they're breaking the rules and technically maybe breaking the law. Anyway, depends on how they do it, right? So, anyway, that's enough of this. I don't know how to end it, so I'll just hit the stop button now.